My name is Morgan, I am 35 years old, and I never expected to inherit a fortune of $11 million from an uncle I never knew. Uncle James is not a family member I see often, as our relationship has been strained by decades of conflict over the family business. But I still have fond memories of my childhood when I occasionally visited his vast estate in the countryside. On that fateful day, I was driving home in high spirits, eager to share the good news of my inheritance with my beloved husband, Eric. We had been together for 7 years and I had always imagined the joy I would feel when I told him. But no one expected the accident to be so devastating, and at that moment, my world completely collapsed. I woke up in the hospital, my body aching and unable to move much due to a series of serious injuries, but what hurt me the most was not the physical pain, but the absence of Eric, the husband I had trusted and relied on. Day after day, hour after hour passed, Eric still did not come to visit. I called repeatedly, sent messages, all of which were read, but there was absolutely no response. When I finally received a call from him, his words were cold, even more heartless than the injuries on my body. Not only that, I also had to witness him entering the hospital room with a new woman, his new wife, a young, sharp girl who looked a bit like me, which made me shiver, and what I did not expect was that she shouted unbelievable insults at me. If you are reading this, I hope you will like, subscribe, and let me know where you are so I can tell you about my painful yet magical journey of life, a story of brokenness and recovery that I never thought I would experience. The roots of the story began with the complicated relationship with Uncle James, my father's eldest brother. The discord between the two brothers had been brewing for a long time, causing our family, despite being blood-related, to have little contact except for rare holidays and often in a tense atmosphere. However, the times I visited Uncle James as a child were magical moments, filled with laughter and beautiful memories. He collected precious old books, telling of his journeys and fascinating business stories around the world. Uncle James was a self-made businessman who built his own real estate empire and was respected as a town icon. But his personal life was empty, as he never married or had children. So he focused entirely on his work, and few people knew that he was secretly watching over and caring for me, his only remaining descendant. "You remind me of myself when I was your age," he said during a rare meeting when I was 12. I was a bright and opinionated girl, not afraid to speak my mind. After I graduated from college and left home, Uncle James began sending me regular birthday cards and letters. I responded politely, though somewhat reservedly, unsure of how to reconnect with my estranged uncle. The letters were not particularly remarkable, mostly sharing daily stories, business advice, and occasional questions about my life. Little did I know that he was gradually building that connection with me, the niece he had barely gotten to know. Half a year before the accident, I learned from a distant relative that Uncle James had been diagnosed with terminal heart disease. I decided to visit him in the hospital. He was frail, almost a shadow of the strong man I remembered. But when I entered his room, his eyes lit up, as if filled with new hope. "Morgan, I always believed you would come back," he said weakly, full of hope and affection. I began to visit him regularly in the following weeks. We talked about life philosophies, politics, and stories we had never shared before, as if to make up for the years of lost contact. He did not mention the conflicts with my father, and I did not dare ask. We seemed to have assumed that everything would start over. "Life is too short to hold grudges," he said, and the words resonated deeply with me. 3 months later, Uncle James passed away peacefully. His passing hurt me more than anything I could have imagined. Eric's story begins 7 years ago, at an art exhibition downtown. I was a reporter for a local lifestyle magazine. Eric was one of the featured artists, his abstract paintings drawing the eye. He had a special charisma, his every word was filled with passion and captivating confidence. "Art is about seeing the world differently," he once said in my interview, "finding beauty even in chaos." We fell in love quickly, and within a year, we were married in a small, simple ceremony, a testament to our true love. He was determined to pursue an artistic career, while I worked steadily at an advertising agency while supporting him financially. The first few years were great, even though we weren't rich. We shared everything, dreamed of the future, and nurtured each other's dreams. But in the last 2 years, life has changed. Eric's artistic career has stagnated amid rejections, which have changed him. He has become irritable, withdrawn, and often disappears for hours without explanation. Whenever I ask, his answer is, "I need space to create," or "I'm meeting with fellow artists." But in reality, our bank accounts have been depleted as he continues to invest in expensive materials for projects that never come to fruition. I was at work when I got a call from Uncle James's lawyer, Benjamin Harrison. He asked if I could come into his office to talk about the estate. I agreed, thinking he would just give me a few small tokens. But when he handed me the will, I was so shocked I almost fell off my chair. Uncle James's entire estate, $11 million, plus the family estate, was left to me. He had changed the will after we reconciled, Benjamin added. Attached to the will was a handwritten letter from Uncle James. "Dear Morgan, if you are reading this, I am gone. I have watched you from afar, admiring your strength and your heart. You have the fire I once had, but the wisdom I lacked. This money is just a tool, not the end-all. Use it wisely, be happy, and remember that true wealth is not in money. Love, Uncle James." I quickly signed the necessary papers and the huge sum of money was officially mine. I imagined that I could pay off all my debts, let Eric pursue his true passion for art without pressure, buy a new house, travel, and start a family. On the way out, I stopped to buy Eric a nice watch as a gift to symbolize a new beginning. I decided not to tell him over the phone, but to surprise him when I got home. I called to tell him I would be home soon, but Eric sounded disinterested, even a little annoyed. "I'm busy with an important art project," he said and hung up. I felt a little disappointed, but I still thought that when he heard the good news, he would be happy again. But on the day of the accident, it started to rain lightly on the highway. I turned on the radio for fun, daydreaming about how I would tell Eric. I imagined him closing his eyes as he received the gift and sharing with me the joy of being freed from financial hardship. But then everything happened too fast. A large truck suddenly skidded on the wet road, the bed suddenly turned sideways and headed straight for me. I tried to swerve to avoid it, but it was too late. The metallic clang rang out, my car spun violently, the airbag deployed and hit me in the face, causing me to cry. I remembered the watch case falling open, the watch sliding slowly across the dashboard. The last thing I could see was a roadside billboard for a family insurance company with the words, "Protecting what matters most," before I blacked out. When I woke up, the steady sound of the heart monitor and the smell of antiseptic made me shiver. My whole body ached as if I had been through a nightmare. Every breath I took was a sharp pain. I tried to move, but a gentle voice told me to stay still. Nurse Sarah Winters took care of me every step of the way, becoming the only person I could trust during these painful days. I asked her what had happened and she told me that I had been in a serious accident on Highway 65 and had been in a coma for 2 days. I panicked and asked Eric if he knew I was there. She was silent for a moment and then said that she had called him but he had not come to visit. The news was a blow. Dr. Daniel Foster then came to explain the injuries: 3 broken ribs, severe brain trauma, a complex fracture of the right leg that required screws, and numerous cuts and bruises. I was very lucky that the truck driver died on the spot, the only thing that could be considered lucky in this tragic story. I kept calling Eric, but his phone always went to voicemail. My messages were read but not responded to. I felt painfully abandoned. Sarah became my only comfort, always caring, bringing me small snacks, sitting and chatting, taking care of my spirit. By the 3rd day, I still didn't understand what was going on, because even if his phone died, he must have realized I wasn't home on time. On the 4th day, I got a cold text from Eric, busy with a breakthrough project. "We'll see you when things settle down." Not a word about my health, just cruel indifference. Sarah listened to the message, her face serious, and suggested that I ask my friends to check on Eric. I called my best friend Melanie, but she avoided coming to visit. After a week, I began to have doubts. Using Sarah's tablet, I scrolled through social media and found that Eric had posted a photo of himself checking in at the Artemis Gallery, a luxury art club for the wealthy, with a glowing caption about a new beginning. When I called Eric back, his tone was cold and sassy. "I'm busy, don't bother me." I told him I'd been in the hospital for a week and asked where he was, and his tone suddenly became colder. "I don't have time or money for a loser like you. Some of us are moving on." Then he hung up. I cried, unable to believe that the man I called my husband could treat me so cruelly. Sarah found me crying an hour later and ordered sedatives to help ease my physical and emotional pain. I kept thinking that something was terribly wrong, and that this betrayal was deeper than I had imagined. The days that followed were the darkest of my life. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and cried until my heart was numb. 7 years of living together, and that was how we ended, so abruptly and coldly that it felt like I was talking to a complete stranger. Sarah worried and called in a psychiatrist, Jessica Parker, for help. Jessica was a small woman with a gentle but sharp, serious gaze. She helped me realize that I was experiencing multiple layers of shock, physical trauma, emotional betrayal, and the loneliness of being abandoned without warning. I asked Jessica if Eric knew that I had inherited a large sum of money. She said I hadn't told anyone in the hospital, so this might be a key to understanding his actions. 2 days later, Melanie finally came to see me. She brought a small bouquet of flowers, looking at me with pity in her eyes but not daring to look directly at me. When I asked her why she had been avoiding me all this time, Melanie smiled sadly and explained that she was on medication and could not keep calm. She told me that Eric had met another woman, Vanessa Laurent, and that they had gotten married just days after my accident. Eric had even staged a fake memorial service at my apartment, telling friends, "Morgan is dead." That hit me like a punch. I nearly collapsed when I heard him call me dad. Melanie showed me a photo on Instagram of Eric and Vanessa, standing hand in hand in an art gallery, glasses of champagne in hand. Vanessa's face not only resembled mine, but it also evoked a strange emotion, a blood connection that I didn't quite understand. Working with attorney Benjamin, I learned that Eric was trying to seize my assets with false documents and even presented Vanessa as my sister in order to dispute my inheritance. I was shocked because I have no sister. But the name Vanessa, along with the signs, made me suspect that she was the daughter I had lost contact with, the daughter who had been given up for adoption 17 years ago. With Benjamin's help, I asked him to dig up information about Vanessa and prepare for further meetings. The night before the confrontation, I couldn't sleep, my mind filled with painful theories. How did Eric know about the inheritance before I did? Why choose a girl who looked like me to play such a key role in the conspiracy? Why did Vanessa make me feel so deeply? I asked Sarah to install a hidden camera in the room, and I used Melanie's phone number to send Eric a text message warning me that I was awake and remembered everything. The response came quickly, "We'll deal with this today." I braced myself, taking the criminal who had betrayed me seriously. The meeting was staged like a play. Dressed in a suit, Eric appeared, a far cry from the destitute artist he had been. Vanessa followed him, keeping her distance, revealing only a small part of her slender frame and dark hair. Eric played the role of the worried husband with fake gestures, calling me honey and saying that I might have forgotten things because of my brain injury. When I questioned him about pretending I was dead, the answer was a misunderstanding. But his eyes betrayed his ambitious lies. When Eric presented the power of attorney papers that seemed to care for me, I knew it was a plot to control my assets. Attorney Benjamin suddenly turned on his tablet and played a hidden camera video of Eric and a woman signing forged documents and disputing inheritance rights. Eric angrily rushed to take the device but was stopped by security guards. The woman standing across from me revealed her face for the first time, Vanessa. Her face reminded me of a forgotten childhood image, a newborn baby I held in my arms just once before being given away for adoption. Vanessa said bitterly, "You are my mother." In the quiet room, my heart broke as I held in my hands an old photo of me as a teenager, gently holding that baby, Vanessa, in my arms. Vanessa recounted her life and the 17 years of searching for me. She was loved by her adoptive parents, but always harbored a desire to find her roots. Eric, who knew that I kept a memory box, an inseparable object containing a keepsake from the day my child was born, sought her out and devised an elaborate plan to seize the inheritance in my daughter's name to increase his financial power. I looked at Vanessa, her face had both my mother's and mine, and for the first time recognized the daughter I thought I had lost forever. With a reverent voice and a troubled heart, I told her why I had to let go, because of the pressure, because of the fear, because of the distance and prejudice. Vanessa wiped away her tears, and we both began the journey of healing old wounds. Eric tried to argue back and forth, saying there was no evidence, calling us liars and emotional manipulators. However, the evidence was overwhelming. Fake papers, such as legal documents, fraudulent behavior, and even the fact that he had not yet legally divorced me, making his new marriage with Vanessa invalid. Attorney Benjamin filed a lawsuit and worked with the police. That conversation exposed Eric's betrayal, revealing many dark corners publicly for the first time. Sarah, the devoted nurse, also did not understand why he would go so far, depriving her of her good mind to carry out such a cruel plot, when she could have just lived happily with me and enjoyed the benefits of her inheritance. Life began to change. After Eric was arrested, I had to rebuild myself from the rubble, both physically and mentally. I moved out of my old apartment, unable to stay because of the painful memories. Vanessa invited me to live with her in Uncle James's large mansion in the peaceful countryside, a place associated with beautiful childhood memories, now our new home. At first, being a mother and child after 17 years apart was difficult. There were many things to learn, from habits, hobbies to lifestyle. Living together step by step built a sustainable relationship based on respect, understanding, and especially love. I gradually recovered my health with arduous physical therapy sessions. Every small step was praised and celebrated. Vanessa is not only my daughter but also my most important source of spiritual support. With the help of my therapist, Jessica, through online counseling, I learned how to face and overcome the betrayal, as well as open up to the daughter I thought I had lost. Jessica warned Vanessa and me that the relationship we built in this unique situation would take time to become strong and lasting. We began to form happy daily habits such as watching movies on Sunday nights, cooking together on Thursday nights, walking around the estate every day to help me regain my mobility. Through each conversation, we bridged the gaps of 17 years apart. Vanessa asked me to meet her adoptive parents, a simple, warm couple who had raised her since she was a child. I was worried that they would not accept me, but in fact, they welcomed me with open arms and hearts. They always considered me a part of the family, welcomed me to all events, and built a relationship together. That miracle truly touched me and gave me the motivation to continue healing. There were still many disputes on the legal side, and I attended the court sessions without fear of facing Eric, now just a silent figure in an orange prison uniform. When I received an 8-year prison sentence for fraud and other violations, I did not feel elated, but only relieved that such a difficult period was over. Vanessa asked me if I still loved Eric. I was honest, no. I mourned the man I thought he was, but it was just a false image he had created. Eric was just a character created like the abstract paintings he painted, not the real man. Together, mother and son cultivated the garden around the mansion, enjoying the unexpected joy of seeing new life blossom as lush as their own rebirth. Benjamin and I set up a charity in James's name, focusing on helping young single mothers and promoting ethical adoption processes, a way to turn a traumatic experience into something socially meaningful. Vanessa started studying psychology at university, living with me in the mansion. She looked at things with a deep understanding of human psychology, expanding her horizons while I realized that my previous job in advertising was no longer suitable for me. I started writing as a therapy, and gradually became more structured, turning my emotions into my own stories. Writing helped me turn pain into strength. Exactly 1 year after the accident, we held a small gathering, inviting Sarah, Benjamin, the police detectives, Dr. Jessica, Melanie, and Vanessa's foster family. Although we were an unconventional family, we had forged a strong bond from the fragments of our past. I raised my glass, toasting to my unexpected journey and the people who had accompanied me. Sitting on the steps of our house, looking up at the starry sky, Vanessa asked me if I regretted everything that had happened. After a moment of thought, I answered without hesitation. If I could go back, I would still choose that step, because it helped me find my daughter. Money can reveal a person's true character, showing what is true love and what is fake. Eric's betrayal taught me that painful lesson, but it also led me to a new chapter in my life. Sometimes the greatest pain opens the door to new happiness. An accident broke my body but healed my heart. An ungrateful husband accidentally connected me to my daughter who had been gone for 17 years. Wealth is not about the money in the bank, but about real connections and free choices in life. Have you ever experienced a betrayal that ultimately turned out to be positive? Tell your story in the comments below. If my story resonates with you, please like and subscribe to my channel for more stories of inner strength and surprising new beginnings. Share to spread the message that even in the darkest moments, there is always a light of dawn waiting for us. Thank you for listening, and remember, true strength often comes from the weakest moments of life.